This is component 1. This is component 2. And then this is component 3. So the O and the S of Osphere, when I'm talking to a student, I might introduce the concept of decade. That's something that I'll talk about a lot. So is everyone familiar with Scott Fawcett's decade?
Of data software?
I mean, I know of his program, but I haven't seen a lot
Okay.
of the actual program, to be honest.
Okay, so
I've heard of it, but
so a practical tool that we can use here is decade. So ultimately, decade it's a mathematical system that, okay, the pin is on the left of the green and there's a bunker on the left of the green, to the left side of the green. It's a 150-yard shot. And then you look on a card and it tells you from a 150-yard shot, if the pin is on the left, you should aim X amount of paces to the right of the pin. And then because there's a hazard, a bunker nearby, you should add some more paces to the right of the pin. And it gives you your target. Okay, so that is one practical tool I use with students. Another practical tool I call shot saving power question. And we've mentioned this before. If I hit this ball 10 times at this target, how many will go in the worst position possible? Or the shit, depending on the kids that I'm working with. So if I hit this ball at this flag 10 times, how many will go where I don't want it to go? So let's say there's water front left of the green. If I hit this ball at that pin or that target 10 times, how many go in the water? 4 go in the water. Okay, unfortunately, that's a poor target. Where else can we aim where we get that ratio down to 1 or 2? So decade is something I would research. The shot saving power question, which is basically how many times out of 10? Sorry, I'm just going to let my dog out. How many times out of 10 will your ball end up in trouble? And then I also, I'll play the odd game in this section. So a couple of games that I'll play would be no flag golf. So take the flags out the green and I ask the student, okay, all you have to do is avoid the trouble. And sometimes we'll play 9 holes of no flag golf. And it's amazing. Let's, again, waterfront left. So they decide, oh, I'm going to hit the ball to the back right of this green because the water's front left. And they get it, slight bit chunky, maybe a little draw, little overdraw, chunky overdraw. And guess what? It's 4 feet away from the hole. So this is a great tool to help them. And then another tool that I do is in this section, I would play the Eliminator. So the Eliminator is a game where I've showed you guys this before. Off the tee, you have to eliminate right or left. If you hit it to the side, you've eliminated, there's a penalty. If you hit it down the center or in the opposite rough, there's a reward. On approach shots, you eliminate one side of the flag. If your pitch mark is on the correct side of the flag, the side that you did not eliminate, you get a reward. If your pitch mark is on the side that you eliminated, you have a penalty. So sometimes off the tee, if you hit it to the side, you eliminate, I make you come 50 yards back. If you hit it anywhere else, I give you 25 yards forward. On approach shots, if your pitch mark is on the correct side and on the green, automatic 8-foot putt for birdie. If it's on the wrong side, automatic plug bunker shot. So these are practical tools: decade, eliminator, shot saving power question, no flag golf. All of these are practical tools that teach a student the O and the S of Osphere. You can also play eliminator, golf range, you can also play golf range eliminator. You could just set that up for the kids. Tell them, draw on a piece, draw out your range. And on the range that you draw, you could get a print from Google Earth and you can actually draw water. Hey, there's water here. Hey, there's water here. It's a 5-stroke penalty if you hit it in the water. Or you lose 5 points if you hit it in the water. You gain 1 point if you hit it on the green to the correct side. Okay, so I know you guys sometimes struggle to get to the golf course with the way golf is in China. So I can show you how to build this for the range. So these are the practical tools. But ultimately, what are we teaching? So we are teaching a process, a mental process known as chunking. So terrible word for golf. Chunking, we're teaching people to chunk, which means obviously over here we've hit it fat, big ball first. But chunking in this instance is helping a student turn their brain into like a supercomputer. So chunking is the ability to pull pieces of information and put them together. So all these individual pieces of information create a meaningful picture. So for example, if someone's playing the eliminator, or if someone asks the shot saving power question, or if someone is doing decade, or if someone is playing no flag golf, they are forced by the rules of the game to assess the surrounding environment. And if we get in the habit of assessing the surrounding environment, then our brain starts to learn what are the tendencies, what are things that are likely to happen. I'm eliminating the right side, but the wind is very, very, very strong off the left. So it's going to push my ball this way. I'm eliminating the front of the green. That's where the danger is. I want to hit this to the back of the green, but my ball is on a severe upslope and it's into the wind, which means it's going to go higher and it's going to climb. So I have to actually hit a lot more club and a lower shot. I'm hitting a chip shot and I can see that it's into the green. So my club is likely to dig if I play the chip this way. This chip is down grain, downhill, downwind. It's very fast. 3 downs mean the ball might get away from it. So all of those pieces of information, all of those conclusions that I've given, they come from the ability to chunk information. So I'll give you another couple of examples. If I tell you guys my phone number, I'm going to go 352-978-8322. I said it in chunks. Those numbers are meaningless as individual chunks. But when I put all those 3 chunks together, it gives you my phone number. So same in golf. Looking at the lie, okay, that's one piece of information. But then when we look at the wind, and then when we look where the flag is in the green, how do you put those 3 pieces of information, chunk them together, and create a meaningful mental picture in your mind? So that is what we're doing here. We are teaching juniors, golfers, whoever it is we coach, we are giving them the ability to chunk. And this is one of the most important pieces of information if a player wants to get good at golf. If a player cannot chunk information on the golf course, they cannot reach their potential in golf. Tiger Woods, obviously an absolute master at chunking information together. The 12th at Augusta is one that's mesmerizing to players, because every year, no matter what, the best players in the world, they put together all the information that they can, and they still hit it in that water. Yes.
So actually, Ian, I got a question.
Yes.
So that's why like right now I've been going on the course quite a bit with the kids.
Yes.
And I make them first. They have to assess the danger side, the safe side.
Yeah.
And tell me where they want the ball to start and where they want the ball to finish. So it takes like it's like beating the shit out of them just to speak.
Yes.
Where is the safe side, bad side? But that means they just can't chunk.
They can't.
But for me, I just don't let them hit it till they get it out of them.
Yeah. So, that's one way of doing it. Constraints-led learning. So ultimately, decade and the shot saving power question are kind of similar ways that you're doing it to get that information out of them.
And I guess before, like when they're in the trouble, I ask that question a lot more. So if they're behind a tree, I say, what do you think the chances are, or your percentage that you hit this ball on the green? Oh, I think it's 20%. Well, what the hell are you doing hitting that shot? Well,
yeah.
I guess I've done that. I guess I've done that before, but I haven't really done it on a general safe situation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they if you think where a lot of the kids, especially in China, learn golf, they learn it in an environment where they don't need to chunk. The lie is the same, the targets aren't moving, and the environment is very reductionistic. So the total process of hitting a golf shot, OSVEA, doesn't happen. In the environment of the golf range, we're lucky if they start with V. Most of the time, kids on the driving range, especially in China, E. Just the execution. And the execution is done with a mechanical focus. So if you think of the total process of hitting a golf shot, your students are learning really just this. Outside of your coaching, I'm talking about, before they come to you guys. And then
Sorry. I remember you showed me a quite cool video about Phil Mickelson's chunking.
Yes, I can pull that up.
Yeah, this is an amazing example to show us.
Yeah, I'll pull that up, Peter, in a second. I'll pull that up, definitely.
Thank you.
So OSVEA, the ability to chunk, is developed here but most of your students aren't being put in an environment where they need to chunk. So imagine the kid who grows up in Scotland, who doesn't have access to the golf range and learns on the Jubilee course at St Andrews, which is incredibly hilly, and as you tee off in the wind, you go through the 9th hole in the snow, and you finish in the sun. So you learn to chunk real quick because of the dynamism in the environment that you're exposed to. So my mentor, Dr. Anders Ericsson, said to me, and this resonated with me, golfers want to get their reps in. They want to get their reps in. But a golfer classes a rep as this. And if we're very lucky, they'll class a rep as this. When really a rep, an actual rep, a total rep of hitting a golf shot is all 5 of these steps, these 3 components. So if we want golfers to get their reps in, we have to create a practice setting that forces them to go through the total process of hitting a shot, not just the execution phase. Okay, so I agree.
So actually, Ian, so one thing I always ask my students to do is after every shot, they have to evaluate. They have to say, how's the strike? Where does it start? And where does it curve?
Awesome.
But I guess for that, I've never really said the first part. You know, like I should really be asking them before they hit the ball, where do you want this ball to start? Where do you want it to curve?
Yeah, so also I would be creating for me, you're correct, right? You can ask them and you can draw the information out of them. My preference from what I've learned is that you create an environment that demands that they do that.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm saying. I just haven't done the first part. I haven't done the asking them before they hit the ball.
so for me, it wouldn't necessarily even be asking them. It would be putting them in a game or a challenge that you've designed that demands that they do it. And guess what? They're not going to be able to do it. They're going to be real bad at it. And they're going to get frustrated and they're going to get stressed. But now we've created a game environment where behaviors that they're going to face on the golf course are emerging. And that's when you can step in and say, hey, do you want my help and support? What about this? What about this? If I was you, you could do this, or you could do this. And you give them a solution to a problem that they're in that minute. The constraints that you've placed on the environment have created a problem, and they cannot solve that problem. They cannot solve that problem. So then you step in and support them solving that problem. And that's where learning takes place. If you just ask them what they're doing, you're giving great advice and great instruction, but the environment can still be pretty reductionistic. So,
because actually one game I like to use on the TrackMan, I mean, I don't do this enough, to be honest, but I give them a requirement for low, medium, high draw. So for example, it's got to be under 70 feet. It's got to start direction has to be right. It has to curve left, but it can't finish left of the target. And then I give them between 70 and 90, and then 90 and above feet. And then with the fade, I ask them how many balls it takes them to finish it.
Got you, yeah.
But I guess I don't really ask enough questions, I think. I don't know.
I mean, look, I've never watched you coach, so I don't know, but my general consensus of sports coaching on the whole, parenting, sports coaching, just humans in general, especially ones that are nice and want to help, like me. I class myself in that bracket, a nice person who wants to help. I'm too quick to step in and try and help. I need to allow my students to fail more. I need to create an environment. They fail, I watch them fail, and then I have to give them the credit that they deserve. You are a smart human being. If I give you 5 more minutes at this, you are going to figure this shit out. Not, hey, I'm coach, I'm a nice guy, I want to help, this is what you need to do. if we just stood back a little bit longer at times and watched them fail a little bit more, we would see them self-organize and find solutions. That's just my opinion, and based on what I've seen from research and read. And after I've played this that Peter suggested, I'm gonna give you guys a story of something that I did the other day. Oh, sorry, my screen share is paused for some reason. Let me just. Okay.
You've always thought that way, very analytical. There's a lot that I process on every shot, and there's a lot of detail. Do you want me to touch on it, or do you really, is it? Hey, tell me about it. Well, in my practice, I build a reference. So I hit the same shot over and over, building a 9-iron that goes 145 yards, let's say. Now that will vary based on temperature and altitude, and which will change with time of day and whatnot, as well as wind and those effects. But one of the things people will say is I hit my wedge, 120. Well, you might hit a 120 under certain conditions, but in the morning, ball's not going to go 120. Maybe in the afternoon when it's warmer and the ball heats up, but it's going to go 5 to 10 yards short in the morning. People don't factor that in. If you get a little bit of water in between the club face and the ball, people don't know, it actually increases spin, causes it to go shorter. The first cut always comes out 6 to 8 yards dead. If the grain is into you, it's going to launch and hit lower on the face, launch lower, have more spin. If it's down grain, the club slides a little bit quicker, you'll get more out of it. If it's sitting up on zoysia or off of a tee, always goes 5 yards farther with each iron, based on the fact that the center of gravity is underneath the ball and it launches higher, a little bit less spin. All these things I have to factor in when I look at the lie. Okay, how is the lie and how is the ball going to come out relative to my 145 9-iron? Now, that's 10 off a stock. So I have a normal swing, right? And then I have a second swing for every iron shot. And it's a little bit shorter backswing with the same acceleration. So I have a 145 and a 155 yard shot. What is the lie going to do? What's the temperature? What's the wind? How do I want the ball coming into the green? If you choke down an inch, 3 yards comes off of it. 1 degree aloft is 3 yards. So if you open the face a degree, that's 3 yards. So if I have a reference of 145, I want to fly 142, I can choke down an inch. It'll come in a little bit lower, a little bit flatter and release. Or I can just open it up and hit a little bit of a cut. That'll be 3 yards, but it'll back up. All these variables, like I'll process like that when I look at the lie and assess the situation, see what kind of grass it is. And those are the nuances that allow me to be so precise with my wedges and my short irons and my distance control. Right. And that's why iron play has been such a strength for my game, is that I'm able to be precise to within a yard or two. And in my practice sessions, because I hit 1,500 balls every month to those specific numbers, my reference is pretty on. If I hit a...
So, yeah, that's chunking. We want to attempt to create an environment for our students where they can actively discover that. Not necessarily where, and we can obviously support it, but the environment is the biggest teacher. It's so powerful. So I want to actually highlight something I did. Just find it. I think it's. And I'll send you guys a copy of this. Here we go. So I went and observed my students play golf twice in the last week. I went and watched them in tournament conditions. And none of the students, in fact, not one junior golfer, it was windy, and not one junior golfer ever had enough golf club when they were hitting into the wind. So junior golf on the whole, they didn't do this very well. And my guys at Core Golf, they were equally as bad. I watched, they were playing in fours. First kid, 30 yards short right. Second kid, 30 yards short right. Third kid, 30 yards short right. 180 yard par 3, wind hard off the left and into. It's cold, it's miserable. My guy steps up, having already seen 3 people play, 30 yards short right. Same shot everyone else hit. Didn't have the ability to put the information together like Phil Mickelson just explained. So I spoke to the kids after the round of golf, and I took them to the golf course. And I literally made this game up as I was watching them play, because I'm watching them on a golf course not solve a problem. The problem was the wind and the temperature, and their problem that they needed to solve was, how do I adjust? How do I put together all this information and have the right club in my hand and hit the correct shot? And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. So I went to the golf course and I created the same problem for them. Now, it really doesn't matter that there was less wind that day on the golf course, because I asked them, we're going to play a game. It's called Flight Club. So off the tee, so you're going to play 9 holes off the tee, driver, 3-wood, 3-iron, whatever you hit. You must attempt to hit your tee ball lower than your standard trajectory. I did not tell them how to do that. I just told them this was the goal of the tee shot. If you are successful in controlling flight, you move the ball to 120 yards from the green. If you're unsuccessful in controlling the flight of the tee shot, you'll hit your approach from 160. When hitting your approach shot, you must select a club that is at least 2 clubs longer than the one you would normally use. Now, if you want to hit the green, you must control flight and spin. If you hit the green, you get an automatic 8-foot putt for birdie, and you'll play out from there. If you miss the green, but you're within 10 yards, left, right, or short, that's fine, because that was a definite improvement on what I was seeing on the golf course. Then automatic 20-foot for birdie. If your ball is more than 10 yards away from the green, or it's out the back of the green because you didn't control the shot well enough, then you got to play a plug bunker shot. So 4 kids gave him these rules. 1 kid shot 4 under par for the 9 holes. He hit 8 out of 9 greens. I did not give him one piece of instruction. He sent me a round review. I have a screenshot of it on my phone. And he said, when I play golf, I just try and hit normal shots. I try and hit the ball straight. I got to be better at flighting clubs, shaping shots, etc., etc. Another kid shot level par and played pretty well. A couple of times he hit it out the back. First few holes he hit it out the back. But I could see from the change in his motion that he knew what he was trying to do. He could solve that problem without any instruction from me. He just knew how to do it. The first kid was absolutely brilliant at it. And realistically, the first kid just realized, holy shit, I have a tool in my toolbox that I'm not using. I got to start using this. The second kid realized, I'm actually pretty good at this, but I hit it too long. So I need to learn to take a bit more on. Now, the third and the fourth kid, they absolutely suck. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. So I would show them video. Hey, look, what adjustments were you trying to make? Here's what it looks like. And their feedback would be, oh, it just looks like I'm doing a normal swing. And I'm like, yeah, it does. What adjustments are you trying to make? Oh, I'm trying to saw it off. I'm trying to stay on top of the ball. And they just didn't quite understand where their body was in time and space. And actually, as soon as I gave them that visual intervention on about hole 5, so not even instruction, just showed them, hey, what do you notice? And they're like, oh, I'm not really making any adjustments. Soon as I showed them that, they got better. So we did this. I didn't one time tell them that, you know, push the ball back in your stance. If you push the ball back in your stance, you have to aim a little left because now the ball needs to be a little different on the arc because of angle of attack, blah, blah. I didn't explain any of that to them. I just literally let them play this game and figure it out. And that, if I can cancel this, and I'll send you the post-practice journals for you guys to read. And it was very pleasing to me. 2 of them played in a tournament this week, and they took that shot into the tournament. I saw them hitting it on par 3s, which for me was brilliant. So what was I going to say? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, they learned, that was it. They basically now are more equipped to chunk information on the golf course. When they go through their O and their S of Osphere, where's the wind? Okay, so the wind's here, straight into, it's cold. So I have an option to hit a full 8 iron, a knockdown 7, a really chippy 6, maybe even the softest of 5s. I'm going to pick the 6 because the danger's at the back. There's a runoff area. I don't want to go out the back. So I'll hit the 6. I'll grip it down. Through that game, I helped them develop the ability to chunk. So I guess we could put that game in there as well. That was called Flight Club. And I'll send you guys that manual. The cool thing about the manual, I'll just show you really quickly. Please don't share it. This is the updated one. I've sent you the initial copy. But now what you can do is, if you click here, the game comes up on YouTube for you to watch. And then if you click here, the scorecard comes up that you can use with your student.
Or we can't see it. Because we still stay on the OSVEA table.
Oh. Okay. Stop share.
So actually that Mickelson video was the same. We couldn't actually see it. We could just hear it.
Oh, you're joking?
Yeah, we couldn't see
Yeah,
it.
we can hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's not that bad because he's kind of sat down, just talking to Ferrety. So that's okay. Can you see this now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see it.
So actually, you would. I took the game I was talking about. I was reading it from here. So let me. Golf course challenges. Sorry about that. So there's Flight Club. So that's the one I was talking about. You guys can feel free to screenshot that or whatever it is that you want to do. But that was the one that taught them to chunk information to play in the wind, to be stronger in their O and S of Osphere. And then I was just showing you. So this has all the games in that I've sent you guys already. But the difference is now, if you click here, the video comes up. So that's the video for this game. And then if you click here, this is the scorecard for that game.
Or we also can't see the video and the scorecard.
What?
But we can see the document.
We
but
can
not
see
the-
we can see the scorecard. We can see all the.
Oh no, yeah, there's a download. Okay, I don't know. Let me see now. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, so that's the scorecard. That comes when you click here. So you click here, the scorecard comes up. You click here, the video comes up. So that's everything. And all of these are designed with elements that the players have to solve problems. Golf is a problem-solving game. Every shot presents us a different problem, and we have to solve them. And most students who learn in the isolated environment of the range, they're only practicing this part of the process. They're not learning this. And this can be a boring topic for students. They sometimes don't like to talk about strategy. They don't like to talk about where they're aiming. They just want to hit the ball kind of thing. So if we put them in a game or a challenge, it can potentially make it a bit more interesting. So these are the tools that I use. This is
actually Ian, on another topic.
Yeah.
Because I guess one of the big hurdles we have here are appearance.
Oh my God, same.
So if you ask a kid here to, right, we're going to play a game here of 10 shots, set this target, the dad will step in after 2 balls, goes, hey, but my kid's takeaway's 2 inside and he's a little over the top. And
yeah, same. Honestly, I started coaching when I was 26, and I started to develop this philosophy pretty early on. And I started to understand the power of gameplay. I started to understand the power of constraints-led learning, started to understand the mind-body connection, and I would coach it. And as a 26-year-old with no credibility, I was treated like trash. I'm now 40 and I have a little bit more credibility. So some parents let me run with it. Most parents let me run with it. And two of the reasons they do, people actually now seek me out. This is my job, right? I think I've said this to you guys before. You're in a slightly more difficult position. They take a student to you and they're like, fix his swing. They bring a student to me and they're like, hey, his swing seems good. He needs to learn to practice, or he needs to condition his mind. So I'm lucky that I've niched myself. But I also think that your students are very lucky to have such motivated coaches that want to explore different avenues. So my advice would be get out ahead of this. Did I send you guys my parent education guide?
No, you didn't.
This could be a way to get ahead. So I'll send you guys this.
Because actually, Ian, I quite often talk about the story when I first started teaching golf, because I had no interest to teach golf. I wanted to play.
Yeah.
So I just taught golf to make a little bit of money, and I used that money to go play. And then when I ran out of money, I would come back and play and whatever. So the students I had, if they sliced it, I taught them to hook it. I taught them the 6 different ball flights. I taught them all how to pitch it and control distance and chip and putt. And I literally had no idea what I was doing. But all I'd do is I'd test them. Is their low fade better or their high draw better? And I suddenly had a whole heap of students who played so good.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what I was doing. And then when I got a whole heap of good players, I'm like, holy shit, I need to learn how to teach. And then the next 10 years, even now, I always go back, what I was doing 20 years ago is actually the way we should be teaching golf, right?
There's major benefits. So look, figuring out what the student most effectively executes is probably what's going to work best for them on the golf course. And then the other thing would be you're helping them with a more external focus. So like if it's a shot shape related, they might be picturing outside of their body, and it's easier for them to then let the golf club go and open up their degrees of freedom. So yeah, I really agree that we have a coach at Core who is super simplistic and takes the complex and he filters it down, and he really just looks at basic fundamentals, shot shapes, centerness of contact. Really, the reviews on him and how the clients feel about him, his retention of business is phenomenal. And he just has this ability to take the complex, distill it down, communicate in a simple shot shape, ball flight, slight fundamental change. That's his jam, and it works really well. So yeah, I can see the benefits of that. But some students, they just crave the complex, right? They want it to be hard. And I think some coaches sometimes, because of the money that we charge or ego or whatever it might be, we want to deliver the complex, when really we want to be taking the complex and creating a simple solution. So I think all of these things, if a player engages in any of these on a regular basis in the correct environment, it helps them develop the ability to chunk, and it helps them play better golf. Then ultimately what we're trying to do, and David, this might be linked to what you were actually doing with your initial coaching, we want to move from chunking to automation. So component number one, the first two steps of Ossphere, we're trying to create the chunking process. Once the player has the ability to chunk, we want them to develop automation. So we are taking all of this and that picture or that feeling or that shot or that sound or that structure, that we take all the information and put it together. We now need to visualize. And remember, visualize can be see, it can be feel, it can be hear. And that's where you've got to work out what's best for the student. And then we want to execute. And this is where we keep the chimp quiet. So this gets specific. We're trying to drive automation. So this is where we want to look. And this is the last thing we'll go into today. And then next week we can look at acceptance. We want to look at what's called width and direction of focus. So this is the, I guess this is the, my Zoom skills are a bit off today. I'm gonna put this. So things that we can, the underpinning academic factors that we need to look here: width and direction of focus. Another one, degrees, which you've talked about, of freedom. And then something that I do like, that works, quiet eye. So automation, being free with the golf club, more of a subconscious action. So here, at this point when we're chunking, is probably pretty cognitive. This would be when the player is in their yardage book. Players in their yardage book, working hard, talking to the caddy, thinking. Automation is, we actually, as a player now, we want to be less cognitive, so less thought, and we want to be more free and flowing. So using visualization to see the shot, feel the shot, hear the shot, using sports psychology, cognitive psychology interventions to keep the negative voice quiet are all very helpful ways that we can be more free flowing. And like I said, that the academia that we want to look at, width and direction of focus, degrees of freedom, and quiet eye. So the overall way that I coach this, I'll write it in a different color. I coach this not so much through gameplay, but through transition training. So I'll take you through what these are last, but if you remember last week, I started to show you guys some videos.
What is goal psychology and how can it help you? Well, if you embark on one...
We don't want that one. Okay, playlists. So it was all of these drills that I started to show you,
into a beach bomb.
that I started to go through last week.
These games are fun.
Yeah, can we see the video as well, or
Can you not see the video again?
no?
What is going on?
No.
Okay. You see it now?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So ultimately, there's 27-ish drills that I've created that help with all of those things that I showed you on the whiteboard. So we don't need to go through all of these, but what I want to do is I want to ask you guys, let me just get off this. What if, let's imagine we have a student and you spend a year with them solely working on chunking. And you're like, this kid gets it. His brain is like a machine, gets his yardage book out, picks smart targets, understands grain, understands where, like he's at Phil Mickelson's level. But he's not very automated. He struggles to see or feel or hear a shot, struggles to keep the negative voice quiet. He needs to be more free. He needs to let go of the swing more. He needs to be more target focused. He needs to be more relaxed. How would you guys address that? The way that I would address it is in these videos. So either give me a way that you would address it, or I guess another good idea is to think of a student. Do you have a student that struggles in that area? And if you do, can you be specific and tell me like exactly what they struggle with? And then we can look at some practical ways to address that.
I mean, to be honest, Ian, from my point of view, all my students struggle with the first part.
Okay.
So to even think about the second part, it's like.
Okay. So do you want to leave the second part for next week? And do you want to chat a little bit more about the first part and things that we can do?
Oh, no, I'm super keen to learn about the second part. But, especially lately when I'm taking my kids on the course to And for sure, like I played a 5-club challenge game, and they all shot like more than 45, which kids that shoot under 80 normally. So
Okay.
I'm definitely keen to learn the second part, but I think all of our students definitely struggle with the. So if you ask us for a strategy for the second part, I've got no idea, to be honest, because I'm still struggling with the first part.
Okay.
Hey, but I'm getting there. We're getting there for sure.
Can you think of a? I'm gonna put these in the. Can you see these in your app?
Yes.
So there's some games, and some of those in there are designed to help with the chunking process. And then the second thing that we did discuss, I'll give you this.
Hai, could you put this in the drop?
Yes. Yes, I can. Ebook.
Box? Then I can share with